Hey, Night Owls. You're listening to Dead Frequency Radio, the place where real people share their real hauntings and we try to make sense of the unknown.
I'm Arin, the researcher of Arin and Paranormal. I dig into the history of the places we investigate, uncovering stories, events, and people that might explain the strange activity we encounter. My focus is making sure every investigation we do is grounded in context and meaning.
And I'm Liz, the equipment tech of the team. I handle all the gear from setting up cameras and audio recorders to monitoring our EVP and EMF devices during investigations. I make sure the technology is ready to capture anything that might be lurking in the shadows.
So, we do have our specialties. However, all evidence that we review is a combined effort. All the EVPs, the photos, every video that we look over and analyze, we look over together and discuss together so that we can be sure that we don't overlook anything.
Yeah, and we're both field investigators who believe in respectful, non-provocative investigations. Dead Frequency Radio is our space to share what we find from haunted histories to real EVP captures and to give spirits a platform to speak. Join us and keep your frequencies open. Also, gonna go ahead and plug our YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram accounts. YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram are all the same. They are Aura and Echo Paranormal, and our TikTok is Aura and Echo 24.
A couple of things that we wanted to touch on that you can kind of expect in some future episodes from the Dead Frequency podcast. We're going to have some, hopefully, fingers crossed, interviews with some mediums. We're hoping to be able to interview some other paranormal teams, as well as even members of the skeptic community. So we're open to also interviewing skeptics and many more interesting people that might be in the paranormal community.
Also, something that we will be doing at the end of each podcast is we will read an entry submitted by one of our listeners. This will be Boo Mail. Pretty cute, I think. Um, so go ahead. Our email address is actually listed on our Facebook account. But it is spiritseekers2014@gmail.com. If you have some interesting stories, interesting haunted stories, like it could be stories that your grandpa used to tell you, or like personal experiences, we would love to hear it and we would love to feature you on our podcast.
So we talked about starting this podcast in the past, and one of the most common questions that we get is, what are the most prevalent challenges of building a team and starting our gear from scratch?
So the first one I would say is probably the money it takes to buy the equipment. Because, that stuff gets pretty expensive. Like,
Right?
a REM pod that you buy, like, now on Etsy, it's different, but so like Amazon or,
Ghost
like
Stop.
Ghost Stop or places that are specifically for, like, ghost hunting equipment, sometimes those are like $200, $300. And we're paying for this out of pocket. Like,
Right.
obviously we're not big enough to make money off of this. So it's, like everything that we put into this is our own hard earned money. Like our blood, sweat, and tears go into this, because we
Right.
love it.
Right. And I would say too, another challenge that goes along with it is, and this is not so much on the financial side, it's just the more like practical side of things, is The challenge of trying to get permission for your first locations, like, I think that's something a lot of people don't think about is, you have to not only find these locations, but you have to find these locations that are not turned into homes or turned into event venues or completely tore down or, which will go into some pretty dingy, structurally questionable, to put it delicately, buildings, but you also have to consider that as well. But then the biggest challenge is you find these places and then you have to, if it's not listed online for you to just book it, you have to find the place, find who owns it, find their phone number, call them, and give them the, as I call it, and it's terrible, but the routine of, who we are, what we do, and just cross your fingers that they don't think you're crazy. I've been hung up on. I've had people pray for me over the phone, which nothing wrong with that, but it's not exactly the response that you want when you're looking for an investigation location.
Yeah.
We're always happy to send out some recommendations. So if you are wanting to get into the paranormal or you're into it and you're needing some location recommendations, go to one of our social medias. Our email and stuff is listed on all of them. You can reach out through one of our social medias and we'll be glad to help you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Paying for the freaking locations, dude, it is
Yeah.
something else. Because you can go to one place and it might be a 6-bedroom, 2,000 square foot house, and they're charging you $75 for 12 hours. And then the next place, I'm not going to name drop it, but there's one very, very common location that's very well known that we priced. And just to go in the basement of that location was over $1,200. And it was only for like 4 hours.
Yeah. Literally. Like, some of these places, like, I just really don't understand where they're getting their pricing from. But honestly, I feel like it's kind of gatekeepy a little bit.
Right.
Um,
And then
a little bit
also,
classist.
you have the time that you have to dedicate to doing the research. And like, as we said before, Liz is kind of the equipment person. I'm the research person. And I'm just telling you, sifting through sometimes newspaper archives, they can go back to 1800s. Sifting, sometimes you have to go through by county. I had to go through some by state. There's one, which we won't be naming because it was asked to remain private, but there's one hospital right now that we're getting ready to go to, and I'm looking through the death records of every death record that was listed in that hospital, and there's like 3,800, I believe, and they're all mixed together. Some are natural cause, some are accidents, some are suicides, some are murders, some are, um, I mean, it runs the gambit. So the research is another thing. The next question that we had was, what was the first unexplainable experience that confirmed your path? I would say for me, so it was actually the first private investigation that we ever did, and it was at shout out Poly Jail. We love Poly Jail.
Oh, yeah.
Um, it is in Union Springs, Alabama. And we were in the jail, and it was the first time we ever did a private investigation. And Liz was under the Estes method at the time, and keep it short and simple. The jail has one door in, one door out. No basement, no attic, no nothing. And we were upstairs. Liz was under the Estes method. I was sitting down. And we have an audio clip, which you can find on our YouTube, where the cell, like the jail door into the jail, slams. And it was so loud that when it slammed, you can see me turn super quickly towards Liz and shine my flashlight. And I'm going to be super honest with you, we left about 30 minutes after that happened. And it's not because I didn't want the experience. It was more, that is something I tell people all the time. Like, you go out and you want these things to happen, and then sometimes they happen, and it can still be a little bit overwhelming. But that was my experience. Liz, what was yours?
Mine absolutely had to be the Gaines house. Um, so that was the Civil War era field house that we went to, and unfortunately we didn't get this on camera because I was changing the batteries to the camera because it died. I remember I was sitting in the artifact room, which is like that first room when you come in. It's the first room to the left. Um, I was sitting there, next to the fireplace, and I was trying to figure out how to get the battery out of the camera so that I could put a new one in. And, out of nowhere, like, Arin is 2 rooms away from me, and out of nowhere, there's this woman's voice, and now I couldn't understand a single word she said, but I could understand that she said a full-blown sentence in my ear, and it was like right behind me to the right, like we ended up getting like a whole bunch of cat ball activity in that corner where I heard it, later on in that night. And you can actually watch that, the Gainsborough video on our YouTube. Um, it literally, like, I was shook. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, Arin, 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 and you did not hear me. You did not hear me. You were doing something, I think you were experiencing something yourself at the time. And so, like, I eventually got up and walked in there and was like, Arin. You were like, girl, what? Um, One of the other questions that we got was, well, it's less of a question and more of like a explain why you decided to start documenting and eventually sharing it with others. Um, Honestly, we started documenting our investigations because so much happens in the moment, like when you're investigating in a place, historical, or not. um, the weird sounds, strange movements, things you can feel but can't always explain. If we didn't record it, it would just be gone.
Right. And, for a long time that we did this, I would say for the first 3 months, we didn't record anything. But as we kept going, we kind of realized that these, I can't refer to them as anything other than these, like, beautiful experiences that we were having that we wanted to share them with other people too.
Yeah,
Not to scare anybody, but just to let them experience what we experienced, the curiosity, the suspense that comes with it, the mystery, who you're going to connect with, is it going to be emotional? Are they going to be afraid? Are they going to be, you never know. And we wanted to give those spirits a voice, and sharing what we find lets us also connect with a community of people that are as fascinated and intrigued and love the paranormal as much as we do. Um, because, I mean, in my experience since joining the paranormal groups, especially since building our RN Echo Paranormal page on Facebook, in 1 month, we have built 102 followers. So I do quickly want to shout out everybody in those communities because 99% of them are genuinely such good people,
Oh yeah.
which kind of segues me into why we started this podcast and kind of what we're setting out to do. So, really, we're just trying to create like a safe, respectful space for the spirits to be able to communicate with listeners, to be able to explore the unknown without fear. Um, we're going to share some behind the scenes challenges like us trying to figure out audio and us trying to figure out editing, which sometimes is insane. um,
Yeah.
Trying to capture EVP quality. um, we'll tell the stories about the little stupid mistakes we've made. Like, we have a video camera that the viewfinder flips around so that you can see it front facing, and we completely forgot, and we recorded a whole investigation with us completely out of frame. Um, and then Liz, you can kind of talk about um, what some things are that we're gonna cover in some upcoming episodes.
Yeah, so what you guys can expect in future episodes, we are going to be discussing like real EVP clips from our investigations. Um, we should be doing some haunted location deep dives and evidence analysis. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get some guest investigators and mediums to come onto our platform and, um, share their experiences with us, like explain, especially the mediums, because I am just absolutely fascinated with mediums and everything that they can do. Um, so, oh, and we will also be doing the listener submitted paranormal stories, which is Boo Mail. I think that is so cute. Boo Mail.
Right?
And then like we have this thing, like our evidence recaps, we call them mystic signals. And our fan stories again are big mail. So we will be doing evidence recaps, fan stories, interviews, deep dives, evidence analysis, just as a quick recap. Like it literally, I am so excited to bring everything to you guys. Like I can't even.
One of the other reasons we started this podcast and are excited to get it going is, every team I feel like has a certain approach they take with every location that they go to. Um, Ours personally is non-provocative, no negativity. We don't use negative trigger objects. We do use trigger objects. However, I talked about this on a podcast that we did recently about how there is a vast difference between a trigger object and a negative trigger object. For example, if you go somewhere and you know that somebody was, you know, hung and they were murdered, I wouldn't necessarily, us personally, and I'm not judging what you do. What you do is what you do. We have our way, but we would personally not take like a noose to that location. I'm going to edit that. A noose to that location. We would take, you know, for example, our trigger objects are more like, if you liked cigars, we'll bring you a cigar. Or if you liked beer, we'll bring an unopened can of beer. Those types of things. Um, our main focus is to give the spirits a voice. That is why we are called Aura and Echo, because Aura and Echo is feeling and sound.
Mhm.
Um, we do not chase fear. It's like we tell everybody, we don't chase fear, we listen to what lingers. We're not looking to necessarily summon anything or piss anything off. We're just there if they want to talk.
So, we would like to invite you, our listeners, to share your stories with us. Your stories, EVPs, any evidence that you have. If you want it to be shared, we can, feature it in future episodes. Like EVPs, if you have EVPs, we can clip it into our podcast.
If you want to enter your submission, go to, one of our social medias or go to our Facebook page and send us a message.
We would love to ask you to go ahead and follow us on Spotify and Instagram. Leave a rating and a review. It helps us grow. And share the episode on your stories and tag us.
Absolutely. And coming up in the next episode, episode 2, which will be our first official episode drop, we will have a haunted location deep dive. We're going to dive into a location we've been to a couple times, Pickens County Jail. We love it there. We'll be going into the history there, past events, crimes that took place. We'll actually be going back there within the next couple months, and there will be another investigation video, so watch for that.
So, what was your first paranormal experience? Tag us and tell us. We might feature your story in our next episode. Keep your dial set.
We will be back on the frequency.